Join me as I tackle the challenge of maximizing your tax refund. As a hospitality worker, let's see how much you can save this year. As a hospitality worker, you know how hard it is to make ends meet, let alone thinking about taxes. But the truth is, maximizing your tax refund can make a huge difference in your financial planning. It's extra money in your pocket that can help you pay off debt, build up your savings, or simply enjoy a well-deserved break. So, let's dive into the world of tax refunds, specifically for hospitality workers. But before we do that, I want to acknowledge that tax season can be overwhelming for anyone in the industry. You're not alone if you're feeling anxious about navigating the complex tax issues, dealing with missing receipts, or simply trying to find the time to focus on your taxes amidst a chaotic work schedule. Another common pitfall is unique expenses. As a hospitality worker, you have expenses that aren't typical for other professionals. Think about it. You're constantly on the go, whether it's traveling for work or running errands for your job. Those expenses add up quickly, and it's crucial you're accounting for them correctly. By doing so, you'll be able to take advantage of deductions and credits that are specifically designed for workers like you. Travel expenses are another area where hospitality workers can save big. Whether you're driving to a conference or flying to a training session, those travel costs can add up quickly. By keeping track of your mileage, hotel stays, and meal expenses, you can write off a significant portion of those costs. Let's discuss these deductions in detail, one by one. First one is clothing and laundry expenses. Unfortunately, you cannot deduct the expenses of buying, renting, fixing, or washing regular clothes you wear for work, even if your job mandates it and you only wear them at the workplace. Regular clothing refers to the typical clothes people wear daily, such as black pants or a white shirt. These expenses are considered personal and are not eligible for tax deductions. You may be able to get a tax deduction for clothing expenses if the clothing is considered to be protective or part of a compulsory uniform. Protective clothing includes items like gloves or aprons that you need to wear to protect yourself from risks at work. A compulsory uniform is clothing that your workplace requires you to wear, and it must be distinct to your job. Make sure to keep records of your clothing expenses and check with a tax professional to see if you qualify for this deduction. Second deduction is car expenses. Unfortunately, you can't deduct the expenses of traveling to and from work on your taxes, even if you have a long commute or work unconventional hours like nights or holidays. This means that the money you spend on petrol, public transportation, or car maintenance for your daily commute is not something you can claim as a tax deduction. It's always good to keep this in mind when preparing your taxes so you can avoid any potential errors. If you use your own car for work purposes, you may be able to claim the expenses. This includes driving directly between two jobs on the same day, like going from being a waiter at one place to a cleaner at another. You can also claim it for driving to and from a different work location for the same employer in a single day, such as going from your regular restaurant job to a catering event. Just keep track of your mileage and expenses to make sure you get the most out of your claim. If you want to claim your car expenses for work, there are two different ways you can calculate how much you can deduct on your taxes. You can either keep a logbook of all your car trips and expenses, or you can use the cents per kilometer method. Both methods can help you figure out the amount of your deduction, so make sure to choose the one that works best for your situation. And remember, always keep detailed records of your car usage to support your claims. Self-education and study expenses. If you are working in the hospitality industry and taking a course that directly relates to your job, you may be able to claim your self-education and study expenses. This includes courses that help you maintain or improve the skills and knowledge needed for your current role, such as a barista course for someone working in a coffee shop. Additionally, if the course is expected to lead to an increase in income from your current job, you may also be eligible to claim these expenses. Make sure to keep track of all your receipts and documentation to support your claim. If you're thinking about claiming a deduction for education expenses on your taxes, there are a few things you should know. You can't claim a deduction if the study you're doing is only loosely related to your current job, or if it's intended to help you get a new job. For instance, you can't deduct the cost of classes to transition from being a delivery driver to becoming a chef. Also, if your employer covers the cost of your education or reimburses you for the expenses, you can't claim them on your taxes. Be sure to keep these rules in mind when considering your education expenses. Tools and equipment expenses. If you use tools or equipment for your job, like chef knives, you can claim the cost of those items on your taxes. This includes things like insurance for your tools and equipment, as well as any repairs needed. For items that cost more than $300, you can claim a deduction for the cost over a number of years as the value declines. But if something costs $300 or less, and it's not part of a set that costs more than $300, you can claim an immediate deduction for the full cost. It's a good idea to keep track of all your work-related expenses so you can maximize your deductions come tax time. You can't count tools and equipment that your employer or someone else provides for you as part of your tax deductions. But if you use these tools for both work and personal use, you can only claim the portion that's for work. You have to divide the costs of insurance and repairs between your private use and work use as well. It's important to keep track of these expenses accurately to make sure you're not claiming more than you should be. You can't deduct personal expenses like music subscriptions, childcare, fines, flu shots, or other vaccinations on your taxes, even if you need them for your job. And if your employer covered the cost, you also can't claim it as a deduction. In this video, we've covered some of the common challenges hospitality workers face during tax season, as well as some of the specific deductions and credits available to you. Remember, being proactive and informed about your taxes can make a huge difference in your refund. One of the most impactful tips I want to share with you is the importance of keeping a dedicated expense log. It might seem tedious, but trust me, it's worth it. By tracking every single expense, no matter how small, you'll be able to take advantage of deductions and credits that you might have otherwise missed. Plus, it'll save you hours of stress when tax season rolls around. Thanks for watching, and I'd love to hear from you. What are some of your favorite tax tips or strategies as a hospitality worker? Share them in the comments below, and don't forget to check out our other videos about tax deductions.